Dr. Bailey, when we start a new year, it's always a little bit hectic, but how have things gone this year?
You know, it's always hectic because there's just so much going on the first month and a half at school. This year, it seems it gets busier every year, and I'm not exactly sure why. But it's in a good way. You know, there's just a lot of moving parts to the eligibility certification process, the medical information we gather about our student athletes. We do physicals. We try to make sure that we are getting our students oriented to life at Jewell, not only athletically but academically. And that takes a lot of time, but we have a wonderful collaboration between a lot of folks on campus, and so it all goes well in the end, but it's a little hectic at times. This fall probably is a little bit more hectic because we've had some reorganization of our department, and with the departure of our Associate Athletics Director, Lucas Morgan, we've done some restructuring in the department, and Tom Eisenhower is our new Associate Athletics Director, but because of the timing of that decision, he's still coaching cross-country. So we're essentially down a couple positions right now that we will eventually fill in the next couple of months, but just because of timing when people leave, we're working a little bit shorthanded right now. And so, again, I'm so blessed to have great folks in the department who are willing to jump in and lend a hand, whether it's to help out with the nights that we host Liberty or Liberty North football or our soccer games or whatever needs to be done. And I am really excited that Tom Eisenhower has decided to move from coaching to administration because I think he's going to make a fine administrator.
Already has had, I think, a really nice impact on some of the things we do. But like you said, he's filling a couple of different roles at this point. One of the things, though, that I think that people have noticed, and they've said things to me, and I'm sure to you, they walk onto campus, they see our new football turf, and it is a very nice thing. They're seeing it, and they're impressed. It makes the whole campus look nice.
Absolutely. You know, I just came back from GLVC meetings with other administrators, and it's always makes me proud to sit at dinner and have someone say, gosh, you guys have such a beautiful campus. It's always so well maintained, and it is, and it has been for a long time. That's always been a focus, is to make sure that our campus looks nice. But when you put that new turf down with the accents of the bright white and the red end zones, it just adds a nice exclamation point, I think, to what's already a beautiful campus. And of course, our teams are really enjoying playing on the new surface.
Can you give us an idea in short form about what it's like to have to go and to buy turf and to get it put in? Because you don't just go down to Sam's Club and get it.
No, you don't. And fortunately, as I said before, it was a campus-wide effort and in collaboration between our facilities management staff and the athletic staff. And we went and visited a few places, looked at turf at other facilities. My piece was to get on the phone and call other athletic directors that I knew had recently installed turf and talk about the type that they had gotten, how they felt about it, whether they thought it was a good product, how their coaches liked it. Our coaches went and walked and bounced balls on turf at other institutions. And then our facilities management staff, Randy Allewine, who's a member of that staff, is a civil engineer, and he really worked a lot on what I call the pen and paper part of it, and got the bids and those kinds of things. And of course, the top level decision is paying for it and managing all of that, and certainly that was a cabinet level decision, and I'm grateful to David Salee, our former president, for making sure we got that done before he was retired.
Let's talk, since you brought David up, about our new president. Dr. Elizabeth McLeod-Walls is now the new president, and as we've gotten to know her a little bit, what's your feeling about her in terms of athletics and how she relates to athletics?
Sure. Well, I meet with her once a week, and I probably have 3 or 4 other meetings with her. Right now, in her first 6 months in her role, she is doing what she calls deep dives into a lot of different areas, whether it's enrollment, athletics, fundraising, potential fundraising for capital projects. And so I'm spending an awful lot of time with her. I say awful, that shouldn't be. I'm spending a lot of time with her.
I wonder how she feels.
No, it's good. But she truly wants to learn a lot about athletics. And she wants to know about the place of athletics within the institution, whether it's the competitive piece or whether it's just the number of student athletes that we have on our campus and the percentage of students overall that are student athletes. So it's an exciting time because, you know, anytime you have someone new, it's a fresh set of eyes. They're looking at things a little bit differently than maybe we have.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how our athletic teams have started this year, and we'll start with football since we're at halftime. The 0-3 start, but team has some weapons and just kind of waiting for it to come together, it seems like.
No, I think we're going to come together. You know, it's very disappointing to be 0-3, and no one's more disappointed than our football staff and our student athletes. Rough game in the beginning. We went an awful long way. We scored an awful lot of points, and we came up short, and I think that one's hanging over our head, unfortunately, that one that maybe we could have gotten. Second game, an unfortunate injury, and so you have to always recover from that and respond, and felt like maybe we didn't respond quite like we wanted to that game, but then felt really good about this last week. Against St. Joseph's, felt like we played hard, felt like we'd made some adjustments with personnel, and I know that our coaching staff is looking hard every week at what can we do to tweak this and tweak that, but I think they feel really good about their personnel and their buy into our program, the types of things that we try to do, and I think it's going to come together.
We had a change, I guess, in coaching arrangement a little bit for soccer, splitting the duties up between Jefferson Robley and Garrett John, and how has soccer started out?
I think soccer started out very well, and I'm very proud of them. On the men's side in particular, no one ever wants to get picked low in the standings, and we got picked very low in the preseason poll for men's soccer. But when you come out that first conference weekend and win 2 games, you're thinking, okay, I think we're going to be all right. And I knew that ahead of time. We had an arrangement with soccer that really dates back to NAI days, having one head coach for both the men's and women's program, and you just don't really do that a whole lot anymore. And at the time that we made the transition, we knew there would be a time that we would want to make the split, but I had talked with our president and others about that and said, let's don't just pull the trigger. Let's make sure we do it at the right time and find the right person. And so when we brought Garrett John on as our assistant coach 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I kind of did that with that in mind, that he would spend some time working directly with Jefferson, and then there would be a time that it made sense to split the programs. Garrett played in our program, was away for a little while working in the real world, as we call it in athletics, and really had the coaching bug and decided to come back. And I think the student athletes are very excited to have him as part of the program and as their head coach, and they've come out strong. And I'm interested to see how they're going to continue to do, because it seems that they've just got some excitement and certainly excited for them. On the women's side, again, we came out strong and got a couple wins in the conference. And hope to get a couple more this weekend. And I think that for Jefferson Robley, to have 2 programs that you're worrying about for not just what happens on the field, but with recruiting, is a lot. And the thing that I noticed was that you couldn't really give full attention to either program. You had to, the women's game is over, and you had to immediately turn your attention to the men. You couldn't really celebrate with the ladies if they won or help console them if they lost. And so to have them be split, they're both still there to support each other. They travel together, that kind of thing. And so they're going to still work closely together. But I think it's the right thing, and I'm excited for what they can do.
You touched on cross-country with Tom Eisenhower still in that role, but Bart Mastell has stepped in and done a good job there as well.
Bart is our interim head coach for the track and field program right now, and we're in a time when we're evaluating our program to see what the next direction is. But I'm really pleased with the work that Bart is doing, and Tom made a great decision when he brought him on as assistant coach last year, and Bart I think really likes Jewell and understands our kind of place, and I'm really excited to have him in this role.
I'll tell you, I think one of our brightest spots this fall has been our volleyball program.
Absolutely. It's really, I'm anxious to see them play. They play Friday night, and they have not been home yet, and so by the time this is aired, I know they will have played last night, but I'm anxious to see them play, and that's one of the reasons I didn't make this trip, was because we had volleyball at home this weekend. They're 7-5, I believe, and I think we only won 8 games all last season. So to come out of the chute that strong is very exciting. Won a big one on the road at Bellarmine. It's always good to beat Bellarmine in anything, not that they're our rival, but it's a program that we aspire to be like, and when we can get a win at Bellarmine, I feel really good about that. So Carolyn Raines is in her 3rd year and really doing a fine job, and she has a new assistant coach, which I think is really helping her as well.
Dr. Darlene Bailey is with us here. It's halftime, and anything on the horizon that people need to know about as far as Jewell athletics right now?
Well, I think we're, in a time period, again, as the institution is with the new president, the potential for some new initiatives, if you will, for fundraising for the program, some new programs for the college as a whole. In terms of athletics, we're trying to do our best to become as competitive as we can be within our resources and working to identify ways that we can identify more external ways to help support our program, and that's through alumni and donor support. And so I think we'll be taking a closer look at what is the right way to approach that in the coming months, as well as evaluating our facilities. I don't think we need some improvements to some of our facilities to be competitive in our conference, and so to take a closer look at what those improvements might be and how we might approach that.
Darlene, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more in just a moment.